Hello lovelies, today we're covering 7 fashion trends that have died a slow, painful death in 2025 and what to wear instead. We're more than halfway through the year, so it's a perfect time to do a state of the union, if you will, of trends that are just not popping up as much anymore. As always, fashion is about wearing what makes you feel beautiful, and as Ralph Lauren said himself, what makes your heart race. That is what fashion is. If it lights you up inside, if it makes you walk with your head a little bit higher, or even just like makes some parts of you click inside, then you know you've made the right choice. The first fashion trend that has died in 2025 are small structured bags. And I have the perfect example of it. This is an example of a bag that has died. If you recall, a couple of years ago, the Jacquemus, like really tiny mini bag, was so trendy and it felt like every it girl had one. And now, of course, the giant fashion pendulum has swung the other way, and we're no longer really seeing that, like kind of very structured, hard, kind of like that very small structured thing that you can't fit anything to. Instead, what we're seeing a great deal of are slouchy, like more buttery type of bags that move with you, that you can actually carry things in. This is a sharp contrast into what we've seen, and I don't yet dare say that structured bags are out, but I feel like they're kind of getting to that point. I'm a big lover of structured bags. I love the ladylike kind of top handle that feels really elegant and ladylike. So even though I wouldn't say those are dead, I will say that a lot of what I see on websites and editorials and on brand social medias are these bags that just feel and look very buttery and just malleable, almost like you're carrying around like a pillow that you can have your way with in terms of like how you're going to like kind of fluff it up, if you will. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Is this something that makes sense to you? Do you love wearing those kinds of bags? And I have this bag sticking out here in the corner, which I've been wearing lately just because it's still summer and it's a nice light leather. And it's kind of somewhere in between where it's got like somewhat of a structured look, but it does have more of like a slouch to it, as well as just a lot of room. So this is a bag that I have worn a lot versus like the more like the other Definitely London bag that everybody has that we love, but I don't know. I'll tell you, with something like this that looks really pretty with like more like an evening wear or something like that, it can fit in a lipstick, tissue, and then a couple credit cards. That's it. I can't even fit my phone in here. It's almost like thinking about these smaller bags as kind of like a piece of jewelry that isn't functional. It's just there to provide some kind of like luxe finish to your outfit. The second trend that's dead in 2025 are the very ultra baggy jeans that have just been everywhere. I feel like these are jeans that are very much embraced by Gen Z. And I think they've even trickled up where you see a lot of older women wearing them as well, including myself. However, what are we seeing right now? We're seeing straight leg jeans and just an overall more form-fitting silhouette. That also includes the more tailored and no tear, no distress skinny jeans. But more than skinny jeans, it's the straight leg that you can conceivably stuff in a knee-high boot that looks really great with ballet flats, as well as it does heels or loafers. It's just a timeless cut that isn't kind of swallowing you up whole. And along with this very sobering denim trend, one of the other things that has very much gone away is kind of that more of like the yellowish, lighter wash that looks a little bit cheap. For the most part, we see a lot of true blue jeans or a dark denim wash that looks very elevated. And I'm here for it. Even if I am comfortable and it's like a pair of jeans, like I still prefer like a more elevated look. Let me know how you feel about this denim trend, and if you are a lover of baggy jeans. I definitely love traveling in them. A great alternative to a pair of sweatpants, for example. I'm not gonna stop wearing mine. I'm just saying, like, these are not like super in your face right now. I suspect that by next year we'll also not see the horseshoe trend anymore, which I'm fine not being more bow-legged than I already am. The third trend that has died in 2025 are those earrings that have like a brand logo, either like Chanel or the big Gucci signs or something. And actually, ironically, as luck would have it, these say Miss Dior on them, but you can't really tell. Like it says it, but you can't tell. So I guess I'm doing a faux pas, but like you really can't read that they say Miss Dior. But in any case, we're not seeing, like in 2019, 2020, we saw a lot of like the Chanel that said like SHA on one end and then NEL on the other, and it was like kind of sold, and there was like a lot of imitations made of them. So anything that has logos within the jewelry, we just aren't seeing. As a matter of fact, you see it very little in belts as well. So there's something about leaving the logos out of accessories that kind of has taken over. Other than that, jewelry is kind of like a blue ocean in terms of possibilities, whether that is doing your arm stack. And by the way, this is a really beautiful piece by Dripping in Gems. I have it 15% off discount code. If you love like kind of one-of-a-kind jewelry that is handmade, woman-owned, mother-daughter, I'll put it down below. But doing like an arm stack, which I usually wear actually by their brand as well, or doing layered necklaces, or more of like the chunky beady type of things. The rosin bracelets, pearl earrings are also really trendy. So there's kind of something for everybody. We're just not seeing the logos everywhere. Now for number 4, in terms of shoes, what we're not really seeing are the rhinestone slippers anymore, which were so big last year. They were so big that I feel like everybody had a knockoff version of the Kate loafers. I didn't expect it to go away as soon as it did, to be honest with you, just because it was so prevalent. But instead what we're seeing are what they're calling like the hikerinas, like the kind of like the sneaker ballet flats that Zendaya was spotted wearing, which I suspect will also be pretty short-lived. But we're seeing ballet flats in so many different iterations. So that's kind of like the really trendy thing right now that I suspect doesn't have a lot of longevity. What I do think has a lot of longevity are just your classic loafers. So pick the Bottega Venetas, pick the Gucci's, pick the Tod's, Bass, whatever brand you love and is in your budget. And I think it's a great investment for fall and for the rest of the year and years to come, because they're classic, they go with everything, they always are comfortable and classy as well. Now the other shoe that I must mention, just because it's on my mind, that I feel like I don't see much of, and I know that many of you are going to disagree with me, but the ankle boot. The ankle boot is just not flattering. It's just not, unless you're wearing it underneath a pair of jeans. It just feels, it always cuts your leg off in the worst possible way. And so to me, it's always been very limiting. I have a couple of pairs of ankle boots that I never, ever wear because I feel like I can't wear them with skirts or dresses. And then they're always like the wrong length that they might like pop out of my pants. So I think those are other ones definitely dying a slow death. Very at the moment right now are Western boots. So make sure to check out my video on how to style Western boots in 2025. They don't have to be dramatic. They don't have to scream, I'm from Texas, like my hair does. My hair screams, I'm from Texas. And I am. Let me know where you're from, by the way. I would love to hear. So it can just be like a suede boot that is elegant and that has some of the sloping that a Western boot does, but not of like the embroidery drama. The next trend that has died in 2025 are leather, faux leather blazers. And I say this with pain because I have a couple of them that I love. I love them. And I feel like they've added so much nice glossy texture to some of my knits in the winter and falls past. However, I'm just not seeing them. What I am seeing a lot of are leather and faux leather bombers. And there's just like a cool girl vibe that they're being popped on top of floral dresses with slip skirts and jeans and leggings. Like the sky's the limit. They're just everywhere, but they do have like an edgier kind of like Moto feel versus like a classic like blazer feel, if that makes any sense. I'm not getting rid of mine. If need be, if it calls for it, I will still wear my leather blazers, but it's not like front and center at the moment. The next trend that died in 2025 are cowl necks, like the Gilmore Girl kind of, I don't know why it reminds me of like Gilmore Girls, but just like kind of that, 2000s type of millennial look. Instead of that little bibby, it's almost like a grown-up bib, like that bib is being pulled up into like a mock neck. That is really trending right now. And in terms of cowl neck, I don't know that I feel like super strongly one way or the other. What I do know is that I feel like it would always get caught on something, you know, like somehow like that, the bib, it was just like pull you, or I don't know. I think I may have had one or two of them. Wasn't like my thing. In any case, it's just not anywhere at the moment, unless it's like in a video that has like links on it on TikTok. 7th trend that has died in 2025 is heavy makeup. And I'm sad about this. I love makeup so much. I love smoky eye, red lips, a lot of blush, like more. And I've been trying really hard to keep my makeup super simple. I think one of the things that inspired me was doing a lot of research on Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and doing the styling video on her, which make sure to check it out, especially if you love the 90s or you love very quiet luxury classic style. And arguably she's the mother of quiet luxury. But what I found was that she wore such minimal makeup. She really just try to work on great skin, try to define her brows, her lips, and then that was kind of it. So like that has inspired me to wear a little bit less makeup, but we're not seeing a ton of this like super saturated blush that we've been seeing so much up until this second. There's more of like a toning, bringing out your cheekbones, if you will, but not necessarily coloring them with like bright red blush or, you know, super heavy eye makeup that can actually be very aging for most of us that are over 40. And I hate to admit it, I mean, because I do love a smoky eye, like browns and even blacks and just like the eyeliner and the fake eyelashes, but it does age you. So it doesn't matter like how old or young you are. We're just seeing a more simple, natural face with what they're calling beige blush, which is just like a little kind of like bronzing powder over your cheekbones, very defined eyebrows, and just finding a way to bring your natural beauty to life. The good news is that it does cut down on time and it does cut down on stress. And I think maybe women like Pamela Anderson are responsible for the rise of this trend, because she's, you know, sworn off makeup and she usually looks like she does not wear makeup after you get over the fact of like what you used to know of her from previous years, and that you realize that she's actually very naturally beautiful and there's no reason to hide behind loads of makeup. I would love to hear your thoughts on these. And if you're looking for more fall fashion trends, I just did a video on one of the biggest trends that we're seeing for the upcoming season, which is the slip dress, how to style it in 2025. I'll see you there. And if you learned something today, make sure to hit the subscribe button.